Hey everybody, this is Dan Miller for Bluegrass Unlimited magazine, and starting today I'd like to do a few lessons on pick direction on the mandolin. Pick direction, I think, is an important part of getting the mandolin technique down. Now if you study the Bill Monroe style mandolin, Bill Monroe liked to do a lot of heavy downstroking, real in fast succession kind of thing, and that's great because it has a lot of power and you can really push through those notes, especially, and make them pop out, especially if you're playing like a double stop or a full chord, you down strum like that. But at some point you're going to reach a speed limit. Okay, your hand can only keep going down, 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 down at a certain tempo, and there's guys that can do it really, really fast and good on them. But sometimes if you're playing like more of a melodic style fiddle tune type of playing, whereas that heavy downstroke stuff kind of goes in with the bluesy style of mandolin playing. If you're playing a style that's more melodic, like fiddle tune playing, it's going to behoove you to learn to do the alternating pick direction, and that's what I want to talk about today. Okay, the reason being is you're going to be able to pick faster and cleaner if you have you're hitting notes with the downstroke and the upstroke, because you're not wasting motion. If you're only going downstrokes, and a lot of beginners they'll get a tablature and they'll start to learn and they'll pick everything as a downstroke, which is okay. Downstrokes are great because you typically have more power in a downstroke because your thumb is pressing down and you're going downward with gravity, and that downward pressing with the thumb combined with the downward motion of gravity just makes the downstroke a much stronger stroke. So a lot of times it's nice to use that downstroke, but again, when you start to play a fast and furious fiddle tune, you're not going to be able to get all those downstrokes in because you're wasting motion. You could be picking up instead of going down, up, and note, you're going down, up, and you can pick a note going up. So the alternative picking style, I think, is great to learn. Okay, it's good to have a foundation in a good alternate picking. And when I talk about alternate picking, the rule of thumb is if you count a measure in 4/4 time as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, every time it's a number beat, you want to be picking down, and on an and beat you want to be picking up. So if I was just to count a measure of eighth notes in 4/4 time, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? And you want to keep that consistent, all right? Again, I think practicing this way and learning how to do it this way provides a good foundation. Later you can do all kinds of other things because there's players that play a lot of different type of cool rhythmic things using multiple downstrokes and stuff like that. But to have a good foundation in the down-up picking is going to serve you well, I think. Okay, whether you're playing guitar or mandolin, a plectrum style instrument, the alternate picking, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and alternating downs and ups, I think it is a good skill to have as a foundation. Once you get that skill as a foundation, then you can go into doing some of these other more off-the-wall kind of picking styles, and that's fine and well to do. But you need that foundation, I think, in the alternate picking direction. Now, if I was just to play a bunch of eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, all would be cool because I'm just going do 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 do. Where we run into trouble is where we have a quarter note and then 2 eighth notes. So that's going to have to be down, down, up, right? Or any sort of variation of eighth note picking, you may run into trouble. So you have to kind of focus on this and practice this, okay? Especially if you get into any syncopation like dotted quarter notes, you have to play it down and then wait, and then you skip it down, and you skip a dotted quarter note is the same time significance as 3/8 notes. So instead of going down, up, you need to go down and then not play on the next two notes, and then an up. And a lot of people, when they get to a dotted quarter note, they'll play it down, and they'll have time to play another down, so they'll do that. But it should be an up, because it'll mess everything else up down the line if you don't do it that way, okay? The other thing is, if you're doing slides, hammers, pull-offs, you may run into trouble as well, because when you do a slide, you're playing two notes with one downstroke. So the next note needs to be a downstroke because that slide covered the upstroke. Anyway, so there's these times when you may run into trouble with your right hand technique in the alternative picking style. And so what I want to do is today provide some very basic exercises to get you going that are fairly simple and straightforward. And then next time we'll go into some more complicated things where we add some more unusual timing and some slides and pull-offs and things like that, and study exactly where you want your right hand to be when you're picking those certain notes, okay? And again, because the downstroke is heavy, usually because I said, you know, the thumb and the pushing down, the weight of your arm, the weight of your thumb going down with gravity tends to be heavier. But you do want to be able to have the ability to do a really strong upstroke as well. I remember years ago I was interviewing Luke Bulla, and Luke was living in a house in Nashville, and his roommate was Chris Thiele. And I was in the kitchen with Luke doing my interview, and Chris was in his room off to the side of the kitchen, and he was just, all I heard coming out of his room was very simple stuff. I don't know if this is exactly it, but it was something to the manner of over and over and over again on different strings. But I mean, that's simple. That's what, you know, Chris Thiele, arguably one of the best mandolin players in the world, and that's what he was practicing, something that simple. And when he came out of his room to get something from the kitchen, I said, Chris, what are you doing in there? You know, I was curious what exactly he was practicing. And he said, I'm just trying to get my downstrokes and my upstrokes to sound the same, okay? So if a guy like Chris Thiele spends time working on something like that, maybe we should too, you know? So you typically in most bluegrass and fiddle style music, the number beats, the downbeats are going to be emphasized to get sort of a swing feel, like a dance feel, okay? The upbeats are going to be maybe less emphasized, and that's kind of natural. Like I said, the downbeats naturally tend to be heavier or louder or more dynamic than the offbeats. But you want the ability to make them both sound strong if you need to, because again, once you get into things that are syncopated or whatnot, the definition of syncopation is accenting an offbeat, one of those and beats, accenting an and beat, kind of help define syncopation. And sometimes you're going to want to do that. So, you know, kind of like that exercise that Chris was working on, where you just kind of try to get your down-ups flowing smoothly and sounding the same. That would be a good exercise as well. Anyway, let's go through this. So I've got a handout that's in a tablature for download on the Bluegrass Unlimited magazine website. If you're watching this video on YouTube, just go to bluegrassunlimited.com, look at our lessons page, and there's a PDF that goes with this. And I've got a number of exercises. I'm going to play the first couple, and then I'm going to have to look at it because I haven't memorized these exercises. They're just different timing exercises to help you get a sense of when to go down and when to go up. These are, again, very basic. Next time I'll do some more complicated things that may some situations that you may run into trouble. And then a little later on, I'll do some tunes that have some syncopated style moves in them, and we'll talk about the direction picking. Again, I think it's important, especially for melodic style fiddle tunes, when you're playing a song like that, that you have this down-up picking kind of, wired in and feeling natural. Usually when I'm teaching beginners guitar or mandolin, and they get crossed up somehow, a lot of times it's because their down-up alternative picking has gotten off somewhere, like they're playing down on an and beat or they're playing up on a number beat, and that's kind of messed up the way, that's kind of a situation where they crash and burn a little bit. So I find that straightening that out as soon as you can on the mandolin, getting this alternate picking stuff down is going to be very helpful. Okay, so the first exercise is just playing quarter notes. Okay, it'd be great to work with a metronome, and again, we're going to count these measures as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and eighth notes in 4/4 time, and we're going to go down on the numbers and up on the ands. Now, if you're just playing quarter notes, like last time I did that song Mississippi Sawyer, and the first very basic version I put down was all quarter notes, so everything was a downstroke, right? So if you're playing only quarter notes, which is only the numbers, you're just going to play downstrokes. So here's the first exercise. Okay, I'm just going to play my A string. You can play any string you want to play. You can fret a note, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to play an open A string. So we're going to count. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now if you're using a metronome, and there's lots and lots of different ways to use a metronome, but the most basic way is to let that click hit on the numbers. So it's going to go click, 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 click. So you're playing on all the clicks, all right? Now the next exercise is just playing half notes. And what that's going to be is you play on every other number, the 1 and the 3 for this particular exercise. And that would be every other click if you're using a metronome. So it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, that's all downstrokes because I'm only playing on the numbers. I don't start upstroking until I have a note to play on an offbeat, on one of those and beats that I'm counting. Okay? So that's the first two exercises, very easy. Next, let's look at an exercise where we combine some half notes and quarter notes. And again, this is just going to be all downstrokes. I got to put my glasses on here and look at the paper because I haven't memorized this exercise. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. That's the line. It's the third line in the tablature. And again, I just made up a random selection of quarter notes and half notes. So I go half, 2, quarter, 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 half, 4, quarter, half, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, like that. So that's kind of the sequence of that, and you can just repeat that, look at that line and repeat that over and over again. And again, that's all downstrokes, okay? So the next line, which is line 4 of the tablature, is just playing all eighth notes. Now we're going to go to that down, up, down, up, down, up. We're going to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm going down, up, 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 down, up. Just ad infinitum, just getting that down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And for my guitar and mandolin students, I've arranged a version of Arkansas Traveler where there's no quarter notes or half notes in the entire thing. The entire version is eighth notes. It's it's way too busy for like a cool solo, but it's a good exercise because I get them going down, up, down, up, down, up, down. They're playing something on every note, and it gets them having that down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, just without stopping. They're playing every eighth note throughout the whole A part and B part of Arkansas Traveler. And your right hand is the most important thing. A lot of people spend a lot of time thinking about the left hand because, you know, like I want to know where those notes or where those chords are, where those melody notes or how to play that cool lick or whatever. But really your right hand is your timing device, your tone producer, your fluidity, your dynamics, all that's coming from your right hand. And so working on right hand exercises like this is, I think, vitally important, you know, to be able to get good tone, to have good timing. And again, this down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, that's your metronome. That can work as your metronome. And so if you're if this is your metronome, click, 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 going down, up, down, up, down, up, and you have that as a repetitive thing, even when you're not playing the notes, your hand is still doing this. If you look at Sam Bush's hand when he's playing mandolin, it's doing this the whole time, and that's kind of his. My theory is that's his timing device. Even if he's not playing a note, his hand is doing this. So it's a good idea to get into this rhythmic kind of metronome-like timing with your right hand, and doing that practice. Whether it's just on one string or whether you're playing a tune that has all eighth notes, it's a good exercise to get that really good timing going with your down-ups of your right hand. Now the next exercise, which is B line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is combining quarter notes and eighth notes. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to count and play this at the same time. I'll give it a try. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? That's what the exercise should sound like. So that's just a mixture of quarter notes with eighth notes. So you can get an idea or start to get a feel for when to go down and not play up, and when you need to go up, down, up, and playing. So when you mix the eighth notes and the quarter notes together, it starts to get a little bit trickier. Especially next time we'll work on some exercises that really mix up the eighth notes and quarter notes a lot, where a lot of times you're having to play two ups in a row or two downs in a row, and that's hard to get used to sometimes, especially the two ups in a row. And the next line we're going to work with at some dotted quarter notes. And here is when we'll have to sometimes play an up when you might feel like you want to play it down. But we'll get into some more complicated versions of this next time, but this is just a pretty straightforward version. And I won't count the ands, because again, it gets a little bit trickier here. But this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line on the tablature should sound like this. Okay, so a dotted quarter note has I said before, it has the time value of 3 eighth notes. So you're going to play down, and then you've got to rest for 2 eighth note values. And those 2 eighth note values, you go down on the first one, the second one will be up, the third one would be a down, so the next note would be an up. And so it would be 1 and 2 and 3, right? 1 and 2 and. So you're going to skip the and of the 1, skip the 2, and play the and of the 2. 1 and 2 and, right? So that, if you're playing a downbeat at the beginning of a dotted quarter note, it's down, right? 1 and 2 and, okay? All right, so that's just a quick and dirty explanation and a set of exercises for doing pick direction. We covered quarter notes, we covered half notes, we covered a mixture of quarter notes and half notes, we covered eighth notes, and we covered a mixture of quarter notes and eighth notes, and we covered some dotted quarter notes. And again, when you get into some syncopated style playing, you're gonna have some of those dotted quarter notes, so you got to pay attention to your up-down picking. So for now, practice that, just your basic stuff. Try to get good tone, try to get the timing, work with a metronome, try to get all those clicks on the numbers, and then your ands on the off click part where the click's not sounding, and see if you can get some really solid right hand picking going, working with quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes, and dotted quarter notes. And next time we'll throw in some harder stuff, harder mixtures of quarter notes and eighth notes and dotted quarter notes, and then we'll look at what to do when you play slides or pull-offs or hammer-ons in relation to alternative picking. All right, so this is Dan Miller for Bluegrass Unlimited magazine. We'll see you next time.